The following poems are from my collection of poetry, long into my days of youth ago, and other poems. Long in my days of youth ago, I measured mirth by the summer sun's glow. Wet with dew and cool the long grass blades, soaked my cuffs and shoes as we explored the glades. Through all those mornings in bayou blue, fun and frolic were all we knew. For I was all of 9 years old, long in my days of youth ago. Long in my days of youth ago, I danced in the ocean when the tide was low. Me, 70 pounds wet, so child small and not a worldly care. From the pier I heard the young man call, then he made the dare. But the day was spent where the water meets land, and so I ran home fleet-footed across Gulf sand. For I was all of 10 years old, long in my days of youth ago. Long in my days of youth ago, by the Gulf Coast shore came the childhood blow. My eyes were wet with angry tears. I declined to dare and wept. An elder lad with little fear plunged in the inky deep. Surfacing, he climbed the pier, and then the pier high tower. I ran home, shamed and stinging, when the young man called me coward. For I was all of 11 years old, long in my days of youth ago. Long in my days of youth ago, beneath the Gulf salt water, a secret just I know. Wet and bleached, barnacle and bone, and without a worldly care, under the pier, now eternal home, for the one who took the dare. I recall only his eyes just before his world went black, and watched him fall, turn toward home, and never did look back. For I was all of 12 years old, long in my days of youth ago. Walking along the Atlantic. Walking along the Atlantic, I sense a mirror image along another shoreline, thousands of miles away. As the waves leap toward the land, as the breakers break the sand, I wave my lonely hand at a distant, lonely man. The cooling effect of the shade. Sitting at a table at a sidewalk bar, a stone's throw from the Atlantic, in late June, Floridian weather, as the humidity, beginning to carry considerable weight, moves up close and personal, enveloping me in the heat of lovemaking without the climax. I watch cirrus clouds move in random dance against the backdrop of baby blue. I think of yet another suicide bombing of grocers and vendors and passers-by, and sweat with a more than hypothalamic heat. Still, in my distance, perhaps arrogant safety, even in the moment, I feel beyond my dormant hatred the cooling effect of the shade. Less than myth. History has a way, its way, of turning the most mundane individuals into myths. Still, I suppose it's inevitable. Man needs his heroes and villains, whores, rakes, saints, sinners, its scapegoats too, if only to fill the vast void of the life unfulfilled. Man needs his surrogates of success, of conquest, of power, even if, in the heart, at the center of being, one knows all fall mythically short and ultimately prove themselves less than myth. He was famous once. He was famous once. Everybody knew his name. It's told he bedded royalty and many who held fame. I'd read he'd climbed Mount Everest and had a friend who'd walked on the moon. He traveled the world over, but it ended all too soon. For fortune only smiles on us in less time than blinks the eye. And even those once famous, all too soon must die. My sister's hand. To walk the quarter mile it was from my grandmother's reservation home to the one-room schoolhouse in Ebro, Minnesota, when the snowdrifts were February deep, was a National Geographic feat for my 7-year-old legs. And when the wind howled and I somehow knew it was wolves and knew they were hungry, and though I was a famous explorer and I heard the howl again, the wind, the wolves, the hungry, wind-swept wolves, my 7-year-old arm would reach out and my fingers, mitten-bound, protected by the sting of that wind, that woven wind, would take hold of my sister's hand. The artist's brush did not lie. It was one of those haphazard experiences. I wasn't supposed to be there. Still, there I was, drinking beer with the artist, when his beautiful young subject entered his cavern of a studio. I got up to leave, but he motioned me to sit back down. I did, leaned back, and opened the full beer I'd snagged for the road. I got comfortable as his subject walked into the bathroom and then came back out, stood 7 feet away from me, and let her robe slip to the cool, dark floor. She was a beauty, much more beautiful than my friend, the artist, deserved. But I, wise enough, or accepting enough, to understand that talent, much like the gods, often bestowed gifts from the heavens to even the most undeserving of souls. And my friend, the artist, was indeed most undeserving and talented. Still, long after his work was done, his subject banished back to the outside world, my friend, the artist, passed out on the dank, paint-stained floor. I sipped another beer, stood up, walked over to, and studied the canvas. It was then I remembered his subject's nose was indeed crooked, her only visible defect. And I knew at that very moment my friend, the artist, was indeed genius. These poems are all from the collection Long in My Days of Youth Ago. My name's J. Mouton. Thank you.